Thank you. It's an honor to see me. It's Friday, so you know what that means. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She's a Jew from Toronto, which means she can't eat Canadian bacon. Human rights lawyer Brooke Goldstein. He's our second favorite Benz after Deep Knee. Former State Department official and executive director of the Foundation for Freedom Online, Mike Benz. She builds her biceps by lifting her swear jar. Outnumbered co-host Emily Campagno. And finally, old ladies consider his arms weapons of mass seduction. New York Times bestselling author. All right, before we get to some news stories, let's do this.
Greg's Leftovers.
It's Leftovers, where I read the jokes that we didn't use this week, and as always, it's my first time reading them. So if they suck, we'll slather Joe Mackey in baby oil and send him to P. Diddy's prison cell. Yesterday, Kash Patel did an interview with our very own Bret Baier. It's actually a promo for his new movie, Honey, I Shrunk the FBI Director. Check the chair before you do the interview. Oh my goodness. I hope they're giving him solid food. A highly infectious new COVID strain from China has spread to the U.S. To prevent massive death, people are advised to ignore Anthony Fauci. Oh, you'll like this one. Director Spike Lee cheered on the New York Knicks last night, looking like what happens if Willy Wonka were to run a concentration camp.
Everyone's waiting for her to laugh.
Yes. Michael Strahan said that while growing up, his parents ate his pet pig, which means Malia and Sasha Obama may finally find out what happened to their pet Cocker Spaniel. Their dad ate dogs. Podcaster Sam Harris said he'd rather have a president in a coma than Donald Trump. Joe Biden was touched by this endorsement. Well, you know, Sunday is June 1st, which means it's the first day of Pride Month. Yes. And seriously, I can't wait for July so I can go back to having sex with women. Massachusetts State Senator Cynthia Cream has introduced a bill that would limit the number of miles that you can drive in your own car. It's part of a bigger plan to keep people from fleeing Cynthia Cream. With a name like that. Major League Baseball is now investing in a women's pro softball league. But hey, if I wanted to see lesbians get to second base, I'd hang out at the parking lot at Home Depot. Karate Kid Legends opens in theaters today, and it features the original Karate Kid, Daniel LaRusso, which means he now needs to take Cialis, when he needs to wax off. Democrats are spending $20 million to study how to talk to American men. I could have saved them the money. Sydney Sweeney is now selling bars of soap made out of her own bathwater, which means now teenage boys will start swearing on purpose. World-renowned psychics are predicting an apocalyptic end to 2025. We can only hope it's before Kilmeade writes another book. In Wisconsin, sheriff's deputies used a steam shovel to capture an escaped pig. And it was returned in time to start the show. At this point, I could just make an animal reference and say The View. According to a new poll, 1/3 of Americans deal with bloating, constipation, and massive diarrhea. The remaining 2/3 don't watch Jimmy Fallon's show.
It's funny because it's true.
According to a new study, every 42 seconds, a U.S. couple ends their marriage. Wow, some people have all the luck, said one man. Bonnie Blue, the porn star known for sleeping with over 1,000 men in 12 hours, was seen quickly leaving a soccer game. She left when she found out there were only 11 men per team. Oh, that one was bad? A transgender TikToker says she no longer feels safe at Disney World after a restaurant server called him sir. Well, welcome to my world, said one man. And finally, Dolly Parton's Dollywood earned the title of favorite theme park in the country. Visitors praised the rides, the food, and the enormous tits. I apologize to all of you with big tits. Now, remember when we said Dems are obsessed with words and not deeds? Well, it turns out they can't even get the words right. As the Washington Post notes, several Dems are calling out the party for being too reliant on deliberately confusing jargon, the kind of fancy talk that makes everything more complicated than it needs to be, much like the scarves worn by Mr. Furley. They simply distract and camouflage what's less appealing beneath the surface. They do it to show off, but also to confuse. And they expect you not to admit you're confused, because then you'll be seen as stupid. And boy, does this work on libs who rely so heavily on social status and acceptance from the in crowd. Words like social equity, gender-affirming care, and reproductive justice, they're designed to sound smart and get nods of approval from other know-it-alls while covering up the idiotic ideas behind them. As Kentucky Democratic Governor Andy Beshear said, Democrats speak like professors and started using advocacy speak that was meant to reduce stigma, but also remove the meaning and emotion behind words. It makes Democrats or candidates using this speech sound like they're not normal. So you get that? The speech makes them sound not normal. But how can you sound normal if the ideas at their root are abnormal? So what if they replace the obtuse language with real words? Then you'd end up in a worse place, revealing truly terrible ideas for everyone to see. The reason you needed the flowery language around identity politics, social justice, and gender ideology is because those ideas are so unbelievably which is why the left focuses only on the how and not the what of the beliefs that contaminate their party. Right, Petey?
There's a condescension that is imputed to Democrats that I think we really need to deal with. So much of politics is not just how you make people feel, but how you make people feel about themselves. And so much of what they think of you comes down to what they think you think of them. And largely because of our very justified horror at the abuses of Donald Trump as a candidate and as a president, we've said and done things that make voters feel like we're talking about them when we're talking about him.
Well, he said nothing. But he's right on one thing, snobbery. But take that away, what's left? Seriously, is there a non-patronizing way of pushing the same ideas? Please tell me the humble way of telling me you're going to let dudes crush girls in sports. Please respectfully convince us that DEI works and punishing criminals doesn't, or that kids should have their puberty blocked, or that Kamala wasn't as dumb as plant soil. It doesn't work because, like Joe Biden, their ideas can't stand on their own. It's not just the messaging, it's the message and the messengers, and both suck. Why did Trump succeed? People say he spoke with the vocabulary of a sixth grader. True, because his ideas were solid. You can't get more bare bones than this.
We're going to build a wall. Sleepy Joe, the worst president in history.
There are only two genders, male and female.
Drill, baby, drill. Make America great again. No, get those lights off. Off. Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights.
Tomorrow, I'm going to come.
See, good ideas don't need fancy language. Work hard. Don't spend money you don't have. Take care of your family and community, and never turn your problems into someone else's. And always, always delete your browser history. Smart people say complicated things simply. Arrogant people say dumb things in a complicated way. And morons say things like, "You're watching CNN." So when you hear terminology straight from the faculty lounge at Harvard, you know the ideas are as deadly as Jerry Nadler's seat cushion. So I really don't know how the Dems survive once they kill off their rhetoric, because once they take away the loony language of envy, power, and grievance, what's left? It might be nothing, or perhaps something worse. All right. Here he is. Brooke, a pleasure to see you.
Thanks, darling.
And thank you for laughing at my Jewish joke.
Well, I was going to say, I feel very marginalized and oppressed
Yes.
by your Holocaust and breast jokes. I don't think this is a safe space for well-endowed Jewesses. My truth is not your truth.
Yes.
And like the whole point of these ideological word salads, as you said in the beginning, is to avoid a real conversation. So you don't have to engage in a conversation. So it's almost become these ritualistic incantations. And while the Democrats are taking a good look because they realize Americans are not dumb and we're not buying this anymore, it seeped into our culture. And it's in movies. It's all over the Netflix. It's in our schools. Our K through 12 curriculums are seeped in this woke, progressive and they're still indoctrinating our children. So we need a whole revamp of the educational system. And it's not just the Democratic Party platform. I actually think it's very, very scary and dangerous.
Well said. See? She did that using a first grade vocabulary. So, Mike, I've noticed something really weird. I don't think the right has fancy jargon.
That actually, that's completely true. And I actually think that's a strong suit because it makes you faithful to honesty. You have to be honest because you don't have this sophisticated academic Jenga tower of BS to hide what you're doing. And so it actually makes you less able to pull off slimy, covert political operations because you can't dress stuff up. But it speaks to the voters. And this is where we are now. We're watching this Mean Girls scene play out where the Democrats are sad that fetch has not happened. But it actually plays a key role in the operations that they do, which is why I totally agree with what you said about if you think things are bad for them with this language, imagine what happens when it goes away. When the Disinformation Governance Board came out, that was the first time they called their censorship work, honestly, what it was, disinformation governance. DHS already had those operations run out of their Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is a name that puts you halfway to sleep before you finish saying it. And they defined cybersecurity to include misinformation on the internet. But the moment they were honest about what it was, public support collapsed, congressional investigations. Nobody likes pedophiles. But if you say minor attracted person, that does not, the problem is the pig. You can't, they're saying, oh, we put cashmere on the pig. We should dress it up in a silk dress. Nobody likes criminals. When you say justice-involved person, you're still supporting criminals. And so I think your point is exactly right. They need this language.
It is so true. It is like once you place the spotlight on like trans and sports, nobody liked it. So they had to talk about equity and equality and that these were real women. And then you find out it's all
Yeah, once you translated the trans fabric, then all of a sudden you were like, what's left is a steaming pile of horse crap. I find it so ironic too, you guys, because as an attorney, you have to take these like continuing legal education courses, right? Once a month, you have to sit down for an hour, and usually it's a deep dive into some type of subject matter. It's a specific criminal statute or something.
Are you doing that?
No, this month though, literally this week, it was words matter. So they're forcing attorneys to sit down for an hour and listen to Words Matter, and they say apply small language shifts to improve connections, one word at a time. Because that whole legal bar is still stuck in the old days of knowing that, well, if I say the wrong thing, if I say Indian instead of Indigenous, I'm going to get canceled. If I say sir instead of ma'am, I'm going to get kicked out of Disneyland. Like, the ramifications were so real from the left because they canceled and expelled anyone who used the wrong word. So not only can they not defend their ridiculous ideas using plain speak, because the ideas are out of this world, but also if they dare to use any different words, they were going to get kicked out.
Yeah, they had to use the approved language, Tyrus. It is interesting. Brooks said, like, it prevents a real conversation. I think that's deliberate because they lose every conversation.
Well, the Democratic Party can be best described as a woman who's a narcissist who claims to be on the spectrum. They have all the bases covered.
Yes.
You can't call them out on anything because it's not them, it's the spec. So we see that it's called reactive abuse, is what the Democratic Party says. They say a bunch of things, they do a bunch of things, and it picks and prods at us. They tell us that, you know, I have pronouns, you have this, and the average guy is like, oh, okay, and then after a month of this, finally go, enough of this. This is stupid. I'm not calling someone. Oh, toxic male.
Yes.
He's abusive. Oh, he has a problem with trans women.
Yeah.
They never realize that they are the disease. They just get mad that when we sneeze back at them, they go after us for the sneeze. So that's been their whole plan. And what they're doing is they keep saying, okay, what's our next thing that we can do instead of going with the Democrats? If they really want to turn this around, it's very simple. You out the people that were part of the Biden cover-up in your own party. You clean your party out. Massive fires. Senators have to step down from their own, come from within. Then the American people are like, oh, this is a brand new Democratic Party. What they're trying to do now is they're the same pile of, who said you did? The same pile of they're just trying to put it in a new box.
Yeah.
And when we open it up, they're like, oh, it's still We're not opening the box anymore. We're returning the center because the best thing you can do with a person that does that reactive abuse is not respond, although it's difficult, and now or be the adult in the room and just say no. And the American people are saying no to them. There's no formula. There's nobody who's going to come in and be like, all you have to do is say is "What up, bro?" And the guys will be like, "Whoa, I'm back." No, it's not it.
You know what it is? It's like they painted the turd.
Yeah.
And now they want to be rewarded for removing the paint.
Yeah.
And
Well, getting rid of the paint. No, the turd's still there, dude.
Oh, but we're going to put glitter on it this time.
Yes.
It was glitter.
Just for June.
Yes, for June.
Oh. Yes. I spend all of July trying to get that out of my shower.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.